Greetings, stillness and blessings. I hope this finds everyone in the highest vibration possible. We're going to take a moment to raise our consciousness and to raise our vibration in body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Raise your frequency in body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Namaste. Stillness and blessings, everybody. Love and light. Health and wholeness. It's a pleasure to be back in the flesh with y'all. Stillness and blessings. Love and light. Health and wholeness. Stillness and blessings. Love and light. Health and wholeness. I hope this hour will find everybody in the highest vibration possible. As for me, I'm feeling pretty well at the moment. You know, each moment have its own challenges, so we're responsible and accountable to be in the highest vibration possible, regardless of what. I won't spend due to the fact that we're already kind of late in the hour. I won't spend a lot of time. I'm gonna go right into the forewords of contemplations that I have for the day. Resolution of duality allows us single-pointed clarity. Resolution of duality allows us single-pointed clarity. It's a symbol. This is a symbol. This is a symbol of the very statement that I'm using. Resolution of duality allows us a single-pointed clarity. Though it look like two, it's one. Resolution of duality allows us single-pointed clarity. Justified and necessary are not the same thing. What's justified and what's necessary are two different things. They're not the same thing. Be happy for people when they succeed. Be happy for people when they're happy. I don't know who need to hear that, but we all need to hear that. Be happy for people when they succeed. But more so, be happy for people when they're happy. And if you happy and you come across somebody in a less happier state, what can you do to make them happy? It's not easy being a source of hope, a source of inspiration, a source of encouragement when you're hurt and affected as well by what you see occurring. I'm saying that to say this. Anybody can do this. It's not always easy being a source of hope, encouragement, and inspiration when you're hurt and affected as well by what you see occurring. When you know what you want, you know what you don't want. The day that you really know what you want, all that you don't want will be shown to you. We are the world we want to change. If you really want to know who you are, be your best self in the worst times. We're in the worst times right now. And we don't know what time is going to be after this time that we presently have to be in now in this living experience. But we in the quote unquote worst times that we're gonna know it, while we're here in it. And it's a teachable moment. It's a very teachable moment in history. Matter of fact, what's going on in our present history is gonna be in the history books hopefully for our grandchildren. But if you really want to know who you are, be your best self in the worst times. Inspire, compliment, and encourage. Keep it icy. We're going to get into the ADK Book 2, Law of Life. And once again, I hope this message finds everybody in the highest vibration possible, living your best life possible, with all we got to work with. This will be our last section of creation in the ADK Law of Life. We're on page 226. No, we're not on page 226, y'all, pardon me. We're on page y'all give me a minute. I don't want to cheat y'all up. Or y'all what we supposed to be doing here. Pause it for a minute. Now that we rocking, we're on page 236, pardon. Europe was raised again when Atlantis sank. It had gone down when Mu sank. Mu meaning Lemuria. Saint Germain tried in his last embodiment in England and later through Napoleon to bring about a United States of Europe in a similar plan of that which existed ages before. The country around the Amazon River between 12 and 14,000 years ago was at an altitude of around 5,000 feet and was semi-tropical. All this was changed during the last cataclysm around 12,000 years ago. This action submerged the cities there, widened the mouth of the Amazon, and changed the east and west coastlines of the continent. A marvelous civilization had existed there with Kashmir, Poseidon as the ruler. Meru was the name of the continent. It was named after Lord Meru, whose focus is near Lake Titicaca. This civilization and that on Atlantis had power boxes and which was generated their power from the universal light. These civilizations, and also the one on Mu, had airships which far transcended anything we have today. There was a civilization which was known as the Pirua, Pirua, after which came the Inca civilization in South America with a colony in Mexico. The majority of people who embodied there were similar to the American Indians, but those at the head of the government were advanced life streams. 14 from the etheric city over the Sahara Desert came to assist the Inca ruler. One of these was Saint Germain. These civilizations covered a period of thousands of years. Beloved Saint Germain endeavored to raise a whole province of people on Posidanes into the ascended state. He had brought them to the point where all their requirements were precipitated for them. They did not have to work for anything. This was done not through their own attainment, but from the power and focus held by Saint Germain. There was very great development in mechanics. They had much greater perfection in airships than there is at present, with air transportation all over the world. They had become aware of their I Am presence, their higher self, but through disobedience and rebellion in the feelings which acted because the law had not been given into the outer world, Saint Germain was compelled to withdraw. Out of 120 million people, less than 50,000 listened to the warning of destruction ahead. Posidanes sank during cataclysmic action over 12,000 years ago. Some 60 million people sank with it. The highest peaks of the mountain ranges are now the Azores, 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 and Madeira Islands. This deluge is what is referred to as the flood in the Bible. The wild men in the Himalayan mountains and elsewhere are remnants from the last cataclysm, so it was said. The ascendant and cosmic beings preserve buildings, records, formulas, and whatever they wish to keep by hermetically sealing them at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. They will bring these forth in the new age just ahead. It was said that parts of a buried city can be seen from an airplane off the peninsula of Yucatan. Before the sinking of Posidanes, this knowledge was taken to Egypt and carried down through the priesthood. 100 boats, each with 40 or more persons, left the continent at a particular time before its sinking. Each boat carried a portion of some specific flame from the temple that specialized in that virtue. They went in various directions toward their appointed destiny. All were lost except 10, which arrived in Mexico, Peru, Easter Island, Egypt, at Luxor, and some in Asia. These priests and devotees then lived at those locations until the end of that lifetime, returning many times in future embodiments. They remembered the requirements of the priests and priestesses, and therefore the law and disciplines were not written out as now. This only started when the light was getting very dim before the time of Moses. It reached its lowest web since Atlantean days when Yahshua came, which turned the tide. The great assistance of the ascended masters and cosmic beings, which is now being given again, was not done since before Posidanes sank. Priests and priestesses had the knowledge and use of the sacred fire to the point where the flame was visible. In many civilizations, particularly in the one around 200,000 years ago, the one on Atlantis and the one on the Amazon, there were a number of temples on Mu and Atlantis, each specializing in a certain activity or virtue. Priests, priestesses, and people from all over the world came to these temples for instruction, assistance, radiation, and recharge of that particular quality. There were temples on Atlantis where various cities are now, each manifesting a specific quality. Where New York City, Manhattan Island is, there were 12 temples around a central one, known as the Temples of the Sun, wherein was the Liberty Flame. The temple with the action of protection where Philadelphia is now. At the location of Denver was a temple dedicated to the elementals. Where San Francisco is was a city of the 7 hills with the temple to the 7 Elohim. Where Los Angeles is, there was a temple to the angels, and before the cataclysm 14,000 years ago, in that temple the angels were visible to those serving them. There has always been a temple of silence in every golden age. There was a civilization in Egypt which rose to a great height. This was due to the action of the ascension flame. Repeat. There was a civilization in Egypt which rose to a great height. This was due to the action of the ascension flame there. The people were developed individuals, and there was tremendous intellectual accomplishment. Also, the greatest corrupt priesthood known. The misuse of their knowledge and power brought about the fall of that civilization. Later, the Roman Empire rose to great heights, but also went down. Yahshua came to earth at the low ebb of mankind's spirituality, and through his mission, the currents of the inner were reversed, setting into action the divine, the Christ within, the individual, which started mankind on an upgrade toward the freedom for all. It was said that there have been 6 golden ages and 6 major cataclysms. These occurred around 1 million years ago, 800,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, 120,000 years ago, 80,000 years ago, and 14,000 years ago. Then there was a smaller one over 12,000 years ago when the island of Poseidon sank. A change of the poles takes place during cataclysmic activity, but that is always governed by great intellectual beings. Like, share, subscribe. I thank you for your likes. I thank you for your shares. I thank you for your questions and inquiries. My cash app is $SAIWOODAGOD. That's $Sawu to God. Stillness and blessings, love and light, health and wholeness. Enjoy the rest of this night.